Welcome to DIY Easy Crafts and BergKnifeMaking.com. Today we're going to take a look at do-it-yourself easy 2x72 grinder knife sharpening. And unlike some of my other videos, where I do a lot of narration and kind of talk you through the whole thing, today's video I'm just going to show you basically how this knife was sharpened real time. I will talk through just the basics, and then I'm just gonna let the video run. Now I do all of my knife sharpening now right on the 2x72. I start with a 120 grit belt, and the whole process is pretty simple. I mean, there's a little bit of an art to it. You have to get the feel for it and do it a couple of times, but it really is pretty simple. You start by establishing the micro bevel, and you do this, you want to hold the knife at about 20 degrees and run it along both sides until you get that micro bevel so that every time you make a pass, you're throwing a burr on the opposite side along the entire edge of the blade. And you stay on that 120 grit belt until you do that. After that, I'm going to go, this is about a 220 grit belt, and then I'm going to work through probably 3 or 4 other belts. With each belt, I'm going a little bit slower on the belt grinder, and all I'm going to do is polish the burr or flip the burr. So with each pass, I'm going to take the existing burr and push it to the other side. And every time I do that, that burr becomes a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner. And you notice doing it this way, I can probably sharpen a knife. I'm certainly not rushing here, but I sharpen a knife in about 5 to 8 minutes, something along those lines. It ends up being razor sharp. I spend most of the time probably just changing the belts out. So on that 220 grit, I really only had to make one pass on each side. And you can visualize that burr if you have a magnifying glass. I just like to feel it. You can feel it with your finger, or you can feel it with your fingernail. It is very important that that burr runs the entire length of the blade. If there's one spot that doesn't have the burr, the knife is not going to end up being really sharp in that spot. So this is definitely a process you don't want to rush through. So now I'm on a 400 grit belt, and I'll probably have the grinder at about 30% speed. So anyway, I'll let the video go for a little bit. Just understand that each belt that I'm going to use, I'm in a 400 now. I'm going to do 1,000, or I think it's a 1,200 after this. And then after that, it'll be a 2,000. And that'll be it for the belts. Then I'll go to a leather stroping. And for each belt, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to polish the micro bevel and flip the burr. The blue belt that I'm going to now is the 2000 grit. That'll be the last of the abrasive grit belts that I'm going to use. And you'll see, if you try it this way and you practice a little bit, you end up with a knife that's razor sharp right off the 2x72 grinder. It's a lot, for me anyway, it's a lot easier than getting out the stones or another sharpening device. All right, so the last step in the process is to use a leather stroping belt. I don't use it under power. I know a lot of people do. I'm really just using the 2x72 grinder as a fixture to hold the belt in place. I am pressing against that flat platen. And I just make a couple of passes, and that really just polishes that micro bevel even more. And most times you end up with no burr and a razor sharp knife. Easily shaves the hair off my arms. So anyway, this is, like I said, just the way that I sharpen my knives. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're interested, we have a book titled Introduction to Knife Making that covers almost every aspect of knife making for the beginner. That's available on Amazon.com. You can join us on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. If you're interested in one of my custom knives, they're available at BergKnifeMaking.com. And by all means, please join us on our Facebook group, Knives and Knife Making. You're certainly invited to participate and to post images of your own creations. Thank you very much.